That's the way it's got to be.
Ne ti ja spojim kak je bilo res. Seksi uličarka pališ vsakič, ko me vidi, pravi daj no, daj kaj na obisk pridi. Obljubo si že veš, daj obadila veš kaj te more.
Why Britt?
Tannic Grips. Here we are.
Welcome everyone.
All right, we're going to Slovenia.
Yes, we are, and we are in the eastern part of Slovenia as opposed to the western part, which a lot of folks that love orange wines these days, we really like to pay homage to the western part of Slovenia, just across the Gulf of Trieste from Venice, where a lot of some people would say the birthplace of modern day orange wine came from. Not to discredit the Georgians at all. And in this area called, and pardon us too, because I don't know about you, but I'm going to be like this half the time.
I don't speak Slovenian, so.
No, we're in the region of Podravje, which is the sub-region we're going to talk about is Strajerska. And this great producer we like called Matic, or
Matic, but it looks like Matic when in the spelling that you'll see on the label.
And pronounced in Spanish.
Yes.
M-A-T-I-C, it's true.
So basically, you're going to get a lot of Spanish accents with Slovenian words unapologetically. Actually, very apologetically, but unintentionally. So yeah, we've got this pretty cool guy. I'll take a stab at his name. It's Matia
Sheryav?
Sheryav?
I think it's Sheryav. Pardon us.
Yeah.
Pardon us, which is where the nickname comes from, Matic.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of for short, the winery and his name. All organic, all biodynamic fruit, and all single vineyards. Every wine he makes, the fruit hails from one specific vineyard. And we'll just jump right in, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this sparkling wine, it's a pet nat. So you wanted to go over pet nat because you were just like pet natting in our last take, and you were like 30 seconds, and that's what Tannic Grips needs.
Yeah. So pet nat, if you're not familiar with it, it's the oldest method of sparkling to make sparkling wine. And basically, you take the wine while it's still fermenting, and you bottle it, and then you cap it, and then what you get, that is where the bubbles come from. It's unlike champagne or like traditional method wines, like where they open it back up and they add something to start that fermentation that gives you the bubbles. It all happens in the bottle, and so sometimes you don't know what you're always going to get, but it's pretty fun. And again, oldest method to make sparkling wine. So
dope,
super fun.
Very exciting.
The grape was Cipron.
It looks like Cipron, but a Cipron.
Yes.
And AKA ferment for the hundreds of thousands of you that know Hungarian grape varietals.
Yeah.
Super dry. We were talking about this is negative amounts of dry. It's that dry. Like lots of yeasty esters, very like kind of oyster shelly, but it's not like fishy. I don't want to go in that realm. But it was just like a very, very dry bottle of bubbles, which is really, really fun.
And kind of on top of those like shell, like actual shell-like flavors that Jill was talking about, I also got a really cool almost like corn husky note to it. Like it's all the savory elements I was talking about, like in season corn, but like again, not sweet. It was like the savory, like almost like when you get the little strands and like those pearly strands, and like it's just super fun. And it had like a little bit of chewiness to it, but not overly like broad, and like still again very bone dry. A lot of like freshness on the palate as well.
And to piggyback off of just the virtues of the wine, like a lot of pet nats start in the high 20s and beyond. This is we're in the low 20s. For pet nat, it's like a steal. So definitely check that out. Britt has been nice enough to grace our glass with some Kerner, which is a grape that was invented. It was actually a crossing between a red grape and a white grape to make Kerner back in the 1920s. And the person who actually did it was a doctor. He was involved in health, and he prescribed to his patients a glass of wine a day to deal with their medical problems. So
it sounds Italian.
I don't care. I'm in. So
I'm in. I'm down. Yeah.
I think he was from southern Germany. Actually.
Yeah.
I think he was from the Württemberg.
Yeah, it's Trollinger, and Riesling is the cross. So I guess maybe it's, I think Italy, just because the most of the Kerner I've actually had I've had it from Italy, and Italy's pretty close to Slovenia as well. So
this is, you'd never know by the color, but this has like about 36 hours of skin contact, and you can hardly tell, but it gives a little bit more dimension, a little bit more kind of, not prickliness, but just a touch of tannin. Is this, I mean, we like at a 0.5, I'm at a 0.5 tannin.
Haven't disagreed with you yet, and I'm not starting today.
Yes! Okay. Love that.
All right.
He vinifies this all in stainless steel, which you retain that freshness. And more, it's like this, you can tell that Mattia is very into like freshness. We're not dealing with a lot of like deep or heavy or weighty wines. These are very sprightly, very light on their feet, a lot of minerality, a lot of vivaciousness. I don't know, would you agree?
Yeah, I would definitely say it. And I guess I really taste the time that it's spent in the stainless steel, because it's very preserved. Like the fruit's very apparent as well, but again, very like sprightly, very concentrated.
So Pinot Gris, you may be surprised. Some of you may not know that Pinot Gris is actually a pinkish grayish skin grape. This is, show that off.
There you go.
Spends about 2 days on the skins here, Mattia likes, and you get just this very like pretty.
It's really beautiful.
It's like a very light rose type of color almost.
It's really got like the gray. It's really got like this really like dusty rose color to it. It's like,
and it smells like tea. Like something about it reminds me of like Darjeeling tea meets rose tea meets like it's not really fruity, guys, which is really awesome. Really minerally. Sometimes Pinot Gris can get kind of fruity and really ripe when it starts to get some skin contact.
Yeah, super interesting. And I'd say that like, I mean, there's definitely more fruit on the palate than there is on the nose, but it also has that like dusty, dried, kind of bitter, like slightly bitter tea note to it, and like almost like rose hippie. So,
it's really, really pretty. These wines are great if you want to venture in the world of Slovenian wine, but you don't want anything too crazy. Like sometimes some orange wines in Slovenia can be nuts, and these are all really safe. Like if you love Pinot Grigio, you're gonna love all these wines. If you like Sauvignon Blanc, you're really gonna probably love, this may be a little bit lean, you're gonna love the Kerner. Unoffensive. Sure. I mean, you and I have done some pretty funky ciders, some funky gin, some funky things. The last episode we did something blew up all over, and these are really safe, really fun, very healthy wines.
They are. They're really, and they're great food wines and like crowd-pleasing wines. It's like, but still with like a tone of really like interesting, like there's something interesting about them, like even just in the way that we get to talk about them, which I think is really fun.
Lemongrass.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like a lemongrass husk.
Yeah. When you get a bite of it in the soup.
Yeah, when you make your, I made homemade tonic the other day and I pulled some out. I was like, I'm sorry, it's fresh on the mind.
Yeah, tonic. It does though. It does have like a little. To me, honestly, it does have a little bit of a quinine base to it. Like what I like about this, I really enjoy like a bitter note on the end. By no means is it obtrusive. I would say that the fruit really rounds it out, but it's just there's a super fun bitter, like slightly bitter note to it that I think is really pleasant, and complemented by the freshness of it all.
What would you give the Tannic grip on this little guy? Just because it has a little, we should pay homage to the fact that we've got a little skin contact here. I'll be like I'd be like point.
I was gonna say 0.75.
Yeah. Okay.
Super interesting wines coming out of Slovenia. We're super excited. I will say, while we can't emphasize enough how dry that Petnat is, but it's also fantastic with food. And that's one of the best things about having wine, is having it with food and seeing how incredibly different it can become. A totally different wine with food, or food can become a totally different food with wine. And I think that this is a really cool wine with food, especially.
What are we choosing with? Do you have Pinot Gris in your glass?
Yeah.
You might as well just top it off.
Top me off.
To Tannic grips, be safe, enjoy the wines, and from Slovenia to Minneapolis to Tannic grips. I mean, there's really, who needs an intermediary?
Babe pogleda, vpraša, če mi je slabo. Se nasmeje, pravi, zdaj si malo pretiravo. S ful muta pravo față să obrnem krancu in pravim tak je ko misliš da imaš pa si sam v pacu.
That's the way it's got to be.